Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to IT4U. I'm your host, Jean Mackey. So, let's see, what do we got here? Let's get to the beginning of our little slides. So these are interactive webinars brought to you by Information and Technology Services. And if you're having any audio or video problems during the live webinar, tell us in the chat pod. If it's not on our end, we can offer some troubleshooting issues. If you're watching the YouTube closed caption version, look in the description for a link to a Google Doc with resources. If you do need an accommodation to participate, just let us know. Give us a little bit of a heads up. And what's coming is the C-Tools migration tool sometime in June, but I don't have a date yet. You'll be hearing about that. And today we have Jennifer Bruck, one of our friends from ITS, another instructional designer, and she's going to talk to us about Windows 10 features and changes. So let me share the screen and turn it over to Jen.
Good morning. As Jean said, my name is Jen Ruck. I have been a part of the Windows 10 project since it began. I was migrated over to Windows 10 about 3 weeks ago. You will all be happy to hear it's been an easy transition.
All right.
So I'm going to take some time today to go through just a few of the interface changes, some tips, some things we want you to know. I'm going to talk a little bit about the storage changes between Windows 7 and Windows 10. And then if we have time, I'm going to go over what we recommend, which is Box and Box Sync and best practices. Also, just so you know, I have Micah Hibden here with me today. He's my silent partner, and he will most likely be answering most of the questions that come in. Okay, so let's get started. I have a presentation here, but I am going to mostly be demoing things. If you have any questions about what I'm doing or anything, please ask, and Jean will let me know when there's a question. If it's something that's too off topic, we might put that in the parking lot and respond to that either at the end or follow up answers with that. Okay? All right, so I'm first going to talk about the interface changes, and again, I'll be in demo a ton, so just expect me to go back and forth a lot with that. So the first thing I'm going to talk about.
Cute kid.
Thanks, it's a cutie, huh? First thing I'm going to talk about is the start menu. So we have start over here. You can see that there are some changes. Again, there aren't too many, and I'm not going to go through every single change in settings or interface change. I'm going to go over some of the big ones, and I'm going to let you know where you can find some resources to learn more about that. First, we're going to start talking about the start menu. Obviously, it looks a little bit different here. Notice that we have most used applications first. We've got the apps over here on this side. I believe in Windows 7 you had to click an icon to get to your applications. I'll be honest, it's only been 3 weeks and I'm already forgetting a lot about Windows 7. I think that's a plus for your migration to Windows 10. It really is easy to get used to, so that's nice. You'll see on the far left side here that we have the icons here. They're a little bit smaller, but I still think they're convenient. Here's power, where you would obviously sleep, shut down, or restart. And then we have the settings icon here. Here's a file explorer icon. This was not actually here by default. I put that on there because I go into my file explorer a lot, and I'll show you how to do that. And then here's a pick. You can give my account. I can do change account settings, and that is where I was able to put up a picture. Anytime I can put a picture of my kid, I'm going to do it. So, Jean, we have a question.
When is Windows 10 being applied to workstations?
So my understanding is that it will be applied when there is a new machine needed or during refreshes. Micah, is that your understanding as well?
Yes, that's the case. The official launch date for Windows 10 will be May 15th, and at that point, all new devices will be built with Windows 10.
Right. Okay, so I'm sorry again. So I'm going to open this one more time. Sorry, I lost track. Here is where you can open up the change account settings and get a picture in there. Create a picture. You can do a few things on the side here. Sign in options. I'm not going to go through these today, but just to let you know where they are. Do we have another question?
Eric says, can we upgrade our existing machines to Windows 10?
You can upgrade when you get a new computer or during the refresh. They were discussing a process for requesting. My understanding is that that will certainly not be available on Go Live, which you said was May 15th, correct? Right. So that's my understanding, is that it's not possible right away. And we will certainly communicate that when that is a possibility. Okay? Okay. So again, here is a list of your most used applications by default, which I really like. And then it goes through alphabetical order. I find this much easier and more convenient, actually, especially the most used. These are absolutely what I get into the most. And you will find that you can pin to start your applications that you do use if they don't show up here right away. Again, I'm going to talk about how to pin this File Explorer. I get into my files all the time, so right away I pin this to start. And you'll notice too that I pinned it to my Taskbar here. So if I open Settings, you'll see Settings looks a little bit different. You have a search right here in the middle, and then you have some different icons in your settings. I think this looks clean and sleek, and I like it. So we're going to go into Personalization, and then we're going to go into Start. And if I scroll down first, you'll see some settings are managed by our organization. I found that in a few different areas when I was playing around. That's something we know, so it shouldn't surprise you. As I scroll down here, I see choose what folders appear on Start. And I turned on File Explorer. Again, this is not by default. It's something you can turn on yourself. The nice thing is that you can do any of them. You can do documents, downloads, personal folder, network. So you do have some options here to personalize your Start menu. So that's where you can open File Explorer, or pin File Explorer, excuse me. I'll show you here too. So you'll notice this says Quick Access. In Windows 7, if I remember correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, I know you will, it was Favorites, I believe. Quick Access, again, the things that I open most are in here. And then you'll also notice that this says this PC now. I'll be honest that I don't remember exactly what it was for. My computer, yes, thank you, Adam. And now it's this PC, the exact same thing. Something that maybe you could have done in Windows 7, I don't know if you could, I never did, but you can change this. So if I go into View, and then over here to Options, I can change the folder and the search options. So right now, the Open File Explorer 2 goes to Quick Access. I can also have it go to this PC. I like Quick Access. Again, it just naturally remembers what I go into most, so I didn't feel the need to change that, but you can if you decide to. There are a couple other little items here that you can change, or you can restore default. The view, you can change a few things on here, and search as well. So again, if you open your File Explorer, View, and then Options, you can make a couple of personalizations, which I think is really great. Okay, now we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about the task view. Oh, I'm sorry, my notes are out of order. Of course they are. If you'll just give me 1 second. Thank you, I appreciate that. I apologize. I've got 9 pages of notes. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few more things about the settings. These are, again, personalization type things that I thought was pretty cool. So if I go into personalization, one of the things I can do is I'll go to colors, and when I scroll down, I have the option of choosing dark. I mean, it's not a big deal, it's just a little bit of a change, but I thought it was kind of cool. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that on there for now. So now notice when I open things, it all looks dark, which I actually thought was pretty cool. And then okay, so I'm going to keep that dark for now. So if we look around for other changes, this icon right here on the right is new. And this is the Action Center. So this is where notifications will come up, which is nice. And then you'll see that you have some options over here. One of the options that you have is quiet hours. And you can turn quiet hours on. You can do that maybe if you have somebody coming and they're going to be looking on your computer. You can set it up so you don't get any new notifications while you're displaying your computer if you're presenting for something. So quiet hours is nice just because I have gotten pinged a couple times when I get notifications, which isn't a big deal either, but just so you know, you can turn that off. If you want to customize anything in the Action Center, then you can right click and go to settings. And this gives you some settings just for your Action Center. You can add or remove quick actions, which is nice. You can personalize your notifications, which is nice. I like the get tips, tricks, and suggestions as you use Windows. I have it off because it got a little much, but there were some good tips in there, so you can have it on for a while if you like. And then you can also get notifications for battery and stuff like that on here. And then there are other things that you can change while you're in here, apps and features, default apps. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. Power and sleep. Excuse me, you can customize that, and you have additional power settings here that you can go to, which is nice. So I recommend that you take a little bit of time to go through these just because I found things that I haven't found before. Again, I'm not going to go through every single change in Windows 10. I recommend you go through your settings and look at them.
Do we have any questions?
Yes. Are there any questions right now? Nothing right now?
Trina's typing.
Okay. Should I wait for a minute or go on to the next thing?
You can go on.
Okay, so I'm going to go on to something. If you are familiar with Macs, then you might already know about this feature, but it is new it's new as in built-in new to Windows 10, and that's the task view icon. Yes, I'm sorry, we have a question.
How can we hide all of the titles on the start menu?
All of the tiles? Right
Tiles,
here? Yeah, I'll get to that. I'm going to
Okay.
talk more about the apps and the tiles in just a minute. Actually, I can do that now. That's fine.
And Trina said, is there a way to see the borders bolder so that when multiple windows are up, you can see them better?
The
Borders around the, say more, Trina's just clarifying.
Okay.
Borders around each window.
The borders around each window. I'm not sure I know what you mean. Even by borders around each window. I'm sorry.
So maybe you have a couple file windows open.
Micah, do you know?
So if you have one open on top of everything else, it should have like a little bit of a shadow to it so you can see the border. If that's not enough contrast, I think you could probably turn on like a high contrast theme for Windows. There's probably some different ones that you can choose from the personalization menu.
Yep.
Okay.
That's
Is
what
that
I recommend.
helpful? Does that help answer the question?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I will go ahead and go over apps now. So this is obviously new for Windows 10. And one of the things I'll show you right now that I did, this actually can be brought out larger. Just hover over this scroll here and you can minimize this or make it larger. There are a couple other things that you can do. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on this. I can unpin from start. So I could go through and unpin all of them. I can resize. I actually was playing with these yesterday. Some of them I do like it a little bit wider, which I think is kind of fun. And then I can go to more. Some of these tiles are called live tiles, and those are the ones that are added pretty much by Windows, right? So this is, I can go to more and turn live tile off, which just will take the picture away. Again, I could also go ahead and go in and unpin from start and it disappears completely, which is nice. I can also do a few things like go over here and have this pinned to start, and I'll have it down here. I already have it on my taskbar, you see, this is HyperSnap, but it's nice I can go into any of my apps on this side, on the left-hand navigation here, and pin those to the start if you like that. I can also then move these. So if I wanted to have that up at the top, then that's an easy thing to do.
And if you don't want to see those tiles at all, can you turn them all off, or is it individual?
I believe I can, let's try it. I believe I can unpin all of these from start. I haven't done that yet, so let's go ahead and see what happens when we do.
Yeah, you can do that. You can remove all of them, either uninstall or unpin them all, and then you can actually shrink the size of the start menu down too.
Yes.
So if you don't want any tiles, you can have none, and you can have just the regular looking start menu too.
Right. So that's good. Another thing I can do is drag and drop over here, which I thought was kind of cool. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with a few of these. And then, oops, looks like that didn't come over, did it? Nope. So let's bring that over here. And then another thing I can do is I can give my apps a group name. So I could have, let's say, work apps, and I could have play apps. And I can start another group down here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I can show you how to do it. Drag and drop apps over here, and then I can give this, these are all Adobe, so I'll do Adobe apps. So I actually like the fact that I can group apps maybe by project, maybe by day of the week. If you do something every Tuesday and you need certain apps for that, you can certainly have a Tuesday group. A play group, just by whim group. So you can have new groups as well, and you can move things around pretty easily. And again, I can minimize this pretty easily, which is also nice. You'll notice when I minimize, I can still see everything. It still has the Play apps and the Adobe apps, just minimized. That is as far as I can go there. Now when I right click again, you can unpin, resize, and you can uninstall, which is nice too. And then you can do a few things over here. You can turn live tiles off or on, rate and review and share. Okay, I somehow opened HyperSnap and my alarm here. Nice to know that they have one though, right? So those are good things. I will go ahead and open this back up. Though I've gone through, okay, so now I'm going to talk about multiple desktops. Again, if you work on apps, you may be more familiar with this than I was when I first got switched over to Windows 10. I also know that there are third-party apps that can do this on PCs, but for me this was a brand new thing that I learned about, and I'm really glad I did. So right here, this icon at the very bottom is called the Task View. And this gives you the option of having different desktops. So I have 3 different desktops right now. The great thing about this is that so those applications for each desktop only show for that desktop. One of the things that I've done this week, actually, I worked from home 3 days because my son had pneumonia. And for me, using different desktops simulates having more than one monitor. So I'm going to open my first desktop here, and then if I want to get to my second really easily, I'm going to click the use a keyboard shortcut. I mean, I can obviously do it here too, so I'll do it. Oops,
Press the orange button on your trackpad.
Oh, technical difficulties, excuse me. So I can do it through here and just click on my different ones. But to do it more quickly and easily, the keyboard shortcut is the Windows key, Control, and then the left or right. I'm sorry, Windows key, Control, and then the left or right. And again, so these applications are per desktop, and I can go through really easily. And for me, when I'm doing code while I'm trying to look at some documents or trying to take pictures for a course or something, it better simulates for me having more than one monitor than always minimizing different screens. So I have come to love the different desktops. So again, the keyboard shortcut for that is the Windows key, Control, and then left and right arrows. And now I'm on the wrong desktop, so let me go back quickly. Okay, here we go. So that is the Windows 10 work desktops. That's the task view icon. I've showed you a little bit about the app section, so I'm not going to. Okay, so let's talk about pinning things to the taskbar. Hopefully, the very first thing that you will want to pin to the taskbar is the My Workspace Helper app. I did have that. Oh, looks like we have a question.
Lewis says, how do you create a new desktop?
I apologize. So if I open the task view, right here on the far right is New Desktop. I can add one. I don't know how many you can add. If there's a limit, I'm going to guess not. I think I had like 6 open the other day. So. And then you can just easily close them like that. But that is on the far right here. So thank you for that question, Lewis. I apologize for not explaining that. Okay. Oops, and again, the wrong desktop. So we are going to talk about, oh yes, pinning the My Workspace Helper app. I did that right away, but I took it off so that I could show you here. Yeah.
Is there a shortcut key for creating a new desktop?
There probably is. I haven't used that. Again, I'm going to go through some shortcut keys later.
We can add that to the Google Doc.
Yeah, we can add that to the Google Doc. I want to say that might be on my list of the, so let me look really quickly at my list of shortcut keys because I went through and looked at some and wrote down a few that I thought will be, yes, I'm sorry. So the Windows key, Control plus D is the shortcut for adding a virtual desktop. So I do have that. That's wonderful.
All right.
Okay. And I have a few more that I'll go over later. I've been more into the keyboard shortcuts with Windows 10 because of the Windows keys. So I will go over some more of that in a little bit. Okay. So Helper app. Go into the Start menu and Settings. And the Personalization and Taskbar down here. And once I get to Taskbar, I can scroll. There's some things here that you'll see, some settings that you can turn on or off down here. And then under Notification area, select which icon appears on the taskbar. If I click that, you'll notice you have different things that you can choose. And if you scroll a little bit farther down, you will see the My Workspace Helper app. And turn that right on. When I was switched over, I believe it was Marcus Hunt who did my migration. He was wonderful. Hopefully he'll do yours. And he showed me some of these things. So don't feel like you have to remember this. And if you don't remember this, then you will never get the Helper app on your taskbar here. Your NIT person should go over this with you. I will also just show you, because this is a little bit of a change, not for Windows 10, but just recently at ITS at least, the Software Center can now be found in the My Workspace Helper app. So I wanted to make sure I pointed that out as well, along with other things that were previously in the My Workspace Helper app. So that is how you can pin that to your taskbar. Obviously, you can pin other things to your taskbar as well through that same setting, or you can go into it and pin to your taskbar as you normally would. Okay, so I'm going to go back in here for a second to get us back on track. Software Center, I went through that. Grouping apps, I've already gone through that. Chrome. So Chrome, I believe, is the ITS recommended browser. That's correct?
Yeah.
Yes,
we
okay.
recommend that.
So we recommend that. So I am going to show you how you can set that. So you can set that in your browser settings. I believe you probably all know that. I'm going to go through it real quickly just in case you don't. Click the three dots over here on the far right and click settings. And then so I had this and then I actually, yes, default browser. I undid this to show you all, so I'm going to go ahead and make it the default browser. And then it will open up in here and it looks like, so I have to reset this. So I reset this yesterday and it looks like maybe I didn't, here we go, I apologize. So I reset it in my settings and this is actually something I didn't anticipate happening. So this is good. You can also go into your settings, default app, click on the web browser and then click Google Chrome. So should we anticipate that that will happen for everyone when they go into their browser settings and set the default? It opened automatically. And what I'm wondering is, I think I changed it yesterday in this default settings area, thinking that I would then be able to go into my browser and switch it back automatically. But maybe because I changed it in the settings yesterday, you have to go back in there.
It's always best to do it from the settings if you can.
Okay, so that's good to know. That's a good best practice. Thank you, Micah. I did not know that. I've always gone into the browser and done it myself. So this is good for all of us to learn. Go into your default settings, and it looks like you can just click on it, and you can choose from there. And again, we recommend Google Chrome. Okay, so that is good to know. And I do have the instructions here too, so you can set it in your browser and then settings, system, and default. Okay, high DPI screens. So we just want you all to know that if you work a lot with high DPI screens, which are services or 10403s, you can probably tell that I do not myself work a lot with those.
What is that, dots per inch? Is that what DPI is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it would be like 4K displays and things like that.
Okay.
If you do that, you will want to go into settings and display and be sure that you have changed the size of text, apps, and other items. Okay? So again, I can't give you a ton of information about that because I don't work with those screens. If you do, then you'll want to make sure you go into your settings and check on your display settings. Okay? Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about keyboard shortcuts. I do not expect you to be able to see the keyboard shortcuts that I have in this. I'm going to go through a couple of them now. Okay, so one thing I would say that is nice for me, you might have been able to do this on Windows 7 actually, I don't know, but I hit Windows, the Windows key, and Alt to lock it, instead of doing the Control-Alt-Delete. Could you do that on Windows 7?
Yeah.
Yes, Micah says yes, so perhaps this is not new for anybody else, but it was for me. And again, I love that I can add a picture, just because that means even when I'm logging in, I get to see my cute kiddo. So I will go ahead and log back in. Okay, there we go. So some of the other ones, whoops. Okay, so you know what, I'm gonna just get out of that for a minute. So some of the other ones that I thought were good, Windows key plus E opens File Explorer. Again, I get into my files all the time, so any quick way to get in there is really nice. Windows key plus M minimizes everything on your screen. I like that one as well. We discussed already that you can use the Windows key control and then the right and left arrow for getting through your desktop versions or your virtual desktop, I apologize. So those are really nice. And then I also, because Louis asked the question, have already said that the Windows Control plus D will add another virtual desktop for you. So those are a few of the ones that I've started using since I have moved over to Windows 10, although I'm sure they were all available on Windows 7 as well. There are way too many keyboard shortcuts to go through, so I just highly recommend that you take a little bit of time and go through some yourself. They are very helpful. Okay, so I'm going to talk just briefly about Cortana. I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with Cortana. Was Cortana available on Windows 7?
It was not.
It was not. Okay, good. So this is a new thing. I certainly didn't hear about it, didn't learn about it, or wasn't familiar at all with it until I moved over to Windows 10. So Cortana, if you look here, this is Cortana, this little search right here. And this search box will search your PC, the cloud, and the web for whatever you put in here, which is pretty cool. It also apparently has Red Sox game time, which is awesome. Top news today, see all tips. This is really good. I actually went through some of these. Here's the home, and then this is the notebook, which if you sign in, you can do a few things with. So I'll just search quickly. Let's see, I think I went Jimmy John's for lunch. It automatically opens actually Edge browser, which is the browser with Windows 10. But it looks like, I'm going to do more. No, I'm not going to. I'm going to say don't ask me that again because again, Chrome is the recommended browser. But what I really like about this is that again, it will search your PC, the cloud, and the web. And there are a few different things you can do with it. It also does voice recognition. Yes, we have a question.
Trina says, can you change that default browser to Google? What just came up when you did the search?
You know, I'm not sure if you can.
So
There was a button that's displayed with change my browser when you launched that.
it was changed to, I think it was changed
But
to.
it's not going to ask you that again because you told it not to.
Right,
Right.
but I believe that the question was change default browser to Microsoft Edge. It wasn't changed to Google.
Right.
So I have had my default browser is Chrome the whole time that I've had this, except for like the last 12 hours when I changed it. And every time I've done something with Cortana, it's only brought up Microsoft Edge. So I don't.
Microsoft is trying to encourage everybody to use Edge, but
Yeah, I would imagine.
even if
Yeah.
it's not your default browser, it will probably launch that every
Yes.
time.
So if you find a way, Trina, please let us know. But I don't think so. And I believe the question is, do you want to change your default browser to Microsoft Edge? But perhaps I read that wrong. Okay, so this is Cortana. Again, note that you can do a few things. Yes, do you have a question?
Hugh says it is in settings. You can change it to Google Chrome or whatever you like. Now, for this particular search thing.
So again, I could be wrong. I did change my default browser to Chrome in settings. Maybe there's an area where I can also change Cortana default browser to Chrome. That's
There's
awesome.
a Cortana settings icon there.
Yes, there is a Cortana settings icon right here.
Let's
right?
check
This
that
is-
out.
Oops.
Lower left.
Down. A little here.
Yes. Sorry. Yes. Oh, and you can change it in here. History, my device, clear my device. So I don't see it. I'm not going to take up too much time because it's already 9:34 and I don't have too much time left, right? So I'm not going to look for it right now. Here are the settings. Thank you. I was going to go through that, and you can change some things in here. It's awesome if you can change it.
It looks like you can. If you Google it, it looks like there's a way you can change that.
Okay, so it looks like if you Google it, you can. It sounds like some of you have already figured that out, so that's awesome. I will likely be figuring that out soon myself because I've used Cortana a few times. There's voice recognition with Cortana as well. I have not played around with that, but my understanding is that it's something like if you have Google Home or Alexa, you can say, hey, Cortana, and ask a question and it will search for you. So I highly recommend you do that as well. Okay, I have about 10 minutes left. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk a little bit about, so there is training available. We have linked to some lynda.com courses, which are free. Log in with your university ID and you can get to those. We also have a PDF that has a lot of, I have that PDF open. It's a really easy to read PDF here. Points out some things that I've talked about here today with a little bit more information. There are a couple things on here that don't apply to us at ITS. One of those things is, let me see if I can find it quickly. I really don't want to take up too much time for this. It's your organization's apps. We did not enable that here at ITS. We do not have organizational apps. So if you see that on here, don't wonder why I didn't talk about it. I don't talk about it too much because we don't have it here. So we are going to send out a Google Doc after this, and these links will be on there as well. And then I also linked to storage changes, which I'm going to talk about really quickly. So in Windows 7, there are a couple storage changes between Windows 7 and Windows 10. On Windows 7, the files on your desktop and in My Documents folder appear to be on the local machine, but were in fact on a network drive. When you disconnected from the network, changes made to documents were temporarily saved locally, and then when you sync back up to the internet, they were then synced to the network drive. That was a good practice, especially if you worked on multiple machines. That was really nice, but there was some data loss with that. Not a lot, hopefully, but there were a few issues. Windows 10 fixes that because files on your desktop and in Documents folder are accessible via the U drive or whatever shared drive your department has in the desktop folder. This makes for a more reliable offline experience. There's not data loss with that. However, what you need to be aware of is that the data will no longer be automatically stored on the network drive. It won't automatically sync up when you're reconnected. So what are the storage options if you need that? You have Box and Box Sync. We have lots of really great information along with IT4U's on Box. If you haven't worked with it at all, I highly recommend you check out the information on Box. We have some great stuff. Box Sync is an app that allows you to sync what's on Box Web to your desktop. You can sync certain files or certain folders, and then any change you make on your desktop, if you're not connected, will automatically sync up to Box once you are reconnected. Also network storage, you still have your network storage, that's not changing. And then there's also desktop backup, which is powered by CrashPlan. What you want to know about CrashPlan is that there is a fee. So there's a fee associated with that. Again, ITS recommends Box Sync. It allows you to have a copy of your Box files on your desktop, allowing you to have data stored locally and synced from the cloud. And then it automatically syncs back up when you are reconnected. There are some best practices and gotchas with Box Sync. I'm going to go over them very quickly. Sorry, it looks like I have those in my notes rather than bulleted on here. And you can find, again, what I have, what we'll be sending out will be a list of the documentation pages, training, and I do have the information on Box up there as well. So the more devices that you have syncing, the more issues there could be, meaning there could be multiple versions, right? If you are working on something in your laptop here and you aren't connected to the internet and you go home and work on something that you have synced on your desktop, just be aware that there could be multiple versions. So you want to be careful about that. Another thing you want to be careful about is one of the beautiful things about Box is collaboration, right? You can put something in a folder in Box and share that out, and other people can be working with that as well. You want to know if you have things synced that you could be working on a version at home that is synced on your laptop while somebody else is working on that somewhere else. And so you may have issues with getting the right version synced once you get hooked back up to the network. So just keep that in mind. Maybe that means that you don't sync files or folders that you have shared out, and maybe you do, and that's not an issue. Just something that you really do want to be aware of. There are a couple more that I want to go over. Don't sync everything. That's another thing that you just want to keep in mind, just because the more folders and files that you have synced, the longer it will take to resync everything. And it does take some time. I think I have maybe 12 folders synced. It doesn't take long, but I get the little, this box. I'll show you actually. Oh, I thought I had it open, but I must have closed it. Just so you know, it'll show you the time that it takes to sync. It only takes a couple minutes for me because, again, I think I have 12 folders that are synced. But just be aware, if you have multiple folders and subfolders in Box and you sync all of them, it will take some time to resync. Also, speaking of subfolders, you don't have to sync all the subfolders as well. You can do it individually by folder. So try to only sync the things that you really need to work on when you're offline. And then if you finish a project, say I think I have like the Windows 10 folder synced on my laptop here so I can work on things at home. When I'm done with this project, I will unsync it. So just as a best practice, make sure you're going through syncing what you really need synced, and then when you don't need it synced anymore, unsync that. And that will just save you time. Again, if you have a lot of subfolders, you don't have to have everything synced. And if you decide that you want to collaborate on a folder in Box Sync, maybe take that folder out and just have it in the cloud. So we are about out of time. I hope that you guys learned some good things about Windows 10 and Box Sync. Again, the training that is available will be linked in the Google Doc that Jean sends out. So thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Go back here. Stop sharing. Back to my little PowerPoint. Stick around for just a minute, folks. Get a little feedback, but you're already getting some nice feedback. So here's the Google Doc, and I will also send it out when I send out the recording. And we're going to stop the recording right now and go to the polls.